Hey, how's it, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Venus is currently the evening star, but we do not start here. We go way back to April of 2019 in the quiet before sunrise. The sun is still below the horizon. The world is still suspended in that brief, fragile moment between night and day. The air is still, the sky is soft, and there, hanging high in the east, is the crescent of our moon. And below it, that brilliant point of light, that is Venus, bright, steady, and unflickering. This is Venus as the morning star, appearing before the sun and leading the day as it climbs towards the horizon. It feels calm, predictable, almost permanent, but it isn't. Now, the sky shifts. The sun has set. Twilight stretches across the western horizon. And once again, Venus is there. Now, it glows in the evening sky. Nearby, there's another light that shares the scene. That, I found out a little bit later, is Jupiter. Two planets, side by side, shining with a steady light, both wandering against the backdrop of the stars. But even here, something subtle is happening. Night after night, Venus shifts. Its position changes slightly but consistently. It does not stay fixed beside Jupiter, it moves on. We return once more to the morning sky. Venus rises before the sun, but this time it shares the sky with something far more distant, something from beyond our solar system. To the right side, that little bright dot, that is Betelgeuse, a red supergiant, a star so large that if it is placed in the center of our solar system, it would extend beyond the orbit of Mars. Its light has traveled for hundreds of years to reach this moment. And yet, here it is, appearing close to Venus in our sky. But that closeness is only a matter of the infamous perspective. Because while Betelgeuse shifts its position in our sky from day to day, rising earlier, setting earlier, following the rhythm of Earth's motion, it remains fixed within its own pattern, being part of the constellation of Orion. Venus does not, because Venus is part of our solar system. Night after night, Venus moves against that stellar background, drifting, changing position, crossing the sky in a way the stars will never do. And it is in that difference that we begin to see the motion of the planets. So, what is Venus doing? To understand that, we have to step beyond our horizons. And luckily enough for me, someone has already done the hard work, obviously. I cannot leave Earth to have a top down view of our solar system. So I found a really nice website that actually gives us all the information. So, at the center of our solar system is the sun, and around it, the planets move in their orbits. Venus travels closer to the sun than us, and because of that, Venus is always seen near the sun in our skies. When it appears to one side of the sun, it rises before it, visible in the east, the morning star. When it moves to the other side, it lingers after sunset, visible in the west, the evening star. As it travels along its path, Venus sometimes passes between Earth and the Sun, and for a time, it disappears completely from view. Not because it has stopped moving, obviously, but because its position is hidden in the sun's glare. And then it returns on the opposite side of the sky. Now we come back to the present. The sun has set once more, the western sky is glowing, and there it is, Venus again, back as the evening star. Over the past several days, once I discovered that Venus had become the evening star, my focus has been fixed on that single point of light in the evening sky. Not as a concept, not as an idea, but as something I have to catch. Because the sky doesn't always cooperate. There are clouds most evenings, sometimes thick, sometimes just enough to cover the exact place where Venus should appear. So the process becomes something else entirely. It becomes timing, patience, watching for gaps. If there is even the smallest opening in the clouds, I'm there to look. And over these last few days, those moments have added up. Not perfectly, and not without interruption, but consistently enough to reveal something deeper. Night after night, I begin to know where Venus should be, not by guesswork, but by what I've already seen. I find myself looking slightly further along the horizon than the day before, a little bit more to the north, a little bit higher in relation to where the sun had just set, and where the clouds part even briefly. I found the gaps. Right where it should be, that is when the pattern starts to take hold. Because this is no longer about a single observation, it becomes about continuity. Even with a missing day, the motion does not break, the progression carries on. Venus continues its steady drift, moving away from the sun, stretching the spaces between them, lingering just a little longer each evening. What I am seeing is not random and not uncertain. It is a path that reveals itself slowly only if you return to the same place at the same time and pay attention. And after several days of doing that, a baseline forms. From that point on, each new observation is no longer a surprise, it becomes a confirmation. When the positions of the Sun and Venus are written down side by side like this, something very precise begins to show itself. Each evening, the Sun sets first. On the 24th of March, 2026, it set at 271.51 degrees west. Venus followed later at 278.75 degrees west. That is a separation of just 7 degrees along the horizon. But this is where the pattern begins, because the next evening, that separation is slightly bigger, and the next, bigger still. Day after day, the difference between where the sun sets and where Venus sets increases. Not randomly, nothing ever happens randomly, but steadily by about half a degree each evening. By the 6th of April, Venus is setting at 285.49 degrees west northwest, while the Sun set at 277.07 still west. Now the separation has grown to more than 8 degrees. That change may still be small, but it is consistent. And that consistency is what reveals the structure. At the same time, something else is happening. The sun is setting earlier and earlier, dropping more quickly below the horizon. Venus is also setting earlier, but not as quickly. So, even as both move toward earlier times, the gap between them grows. Because what is being measured here is not just where Venus is, but how it is moving relative to the Sun. That growing angular separation is the visible result of two motions happening simultaneously. The Earth is moving in its orbit around the Sun and changing the direction from which we view the sunset each evening. At the same time, Venus is moving along its own orbit, shifting its position relative to the Sun in our sky. From where I stand, these combined motions appear as a steady drift. Venus moving further along the horizon, pulling away from the Sun, increasing its angular distance night after night. This is not a sudden change. It is not an isolated observation. It is a continuous progression measured in degrees, tracked in time, and confirmed each evening the sky allows it to be seen. What these numbers show is simple. Venus is not fixed. It is moving in a predictable path, and that path is shaped by its orbit around the Sun and by the motion of the planet I am on. And that motion reveals itself one fraction of a degree at a time. Guys, thank you so much for watching Venus from here in the Southern Hemisphere. Please don't forget to check out my book, Fixed at 5 p.m., on Amazon, Kindle, hardcover, softcover, and on Lulu Publishing. Thank you so much for watching. Please, guys, stay safe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.